I don't know about you, but since companies stopped giving out raises, I really don't enjoy my annual review. I guess I'm not alone on that one. You come up with all these ways to justify yourself, to maintain your job, these numbers, sales numbers, web hits, clients brought in, numbers to prove your worth. What are you worth is the question of a job review. Last week I had one. I got so worked up the night before, fell asleep and went into my dreaded recurring nightmare. You know the one where you're trapped in a burning building and can't get out? I hate that one. I'm trapped in the building, there's smoke and heat, and the elevator's stuck and not working, and I run through a door, and I realize I'm running the wrong way. I try to go back through the door and it's locked. So I go into my pockets to see if I have a key that might open the door. But when I look down, I see that I'm wearing ruby slippers. It's kind of odd because I'm not a farm girl from Kansas, and my wardrobe does not include a pair of ruby slippers. However, what the heck? I click my heels together 3 times, and through the cloud of smoke appears the magnificent Harriet, like a genie through the years. Harriet, the tallest, darkest, genteel, Southern African American woman, my first boss. Once again, I was 15 years old, 50 pounds skinnier than I am now, with a giant mop of that 70s show hair, and cheap platform soles that would click and clack on the linoleum as I walked. And of course, I was back in Philadelphia. Philadelphia in 1977 was a lot like other big cities in the Midwest and on the East Coast. We still had neighborhoods. So you had a few blocks of Irish here, a few blocks of Italians there, a few blocks of Polish over here, maybe some Ukrainians, the blacks are over this way, the Jewish people are over here. And everybody kept to themselves. We were sectioned off. You didn't just walk into somebody's neighborhood, because that could be trouble. I've been jumped a few times. Anyway, when I was 15 and a half at this time, I decided I wanted to get a car. Now, let's face it, I was just a kid who wanted to get out of the house. The 70s was when all the stuff people protested about in the 60s was actually put into action. That's when we had the quotas, the busing, the integration. But my parents didn't like that. The most popular show in the 70s was All in the Family, Archie Bunker, the bigot. My parents had the bunker mentality. They didn't really care for much of anyone. Anyway, I needed to get out of this cramped row home with too many people and only one bathroom. It was just like all my other neighbors. Maybe I just wanted to get out and use a public restroom. But I wanted the car. The car was freedom. I knew I could go through any neighborhood and no one could touch me because I was in the car and the doors were locked. I opened up the want ads 6 months before my 16th birthday because I wanted to get a job. Now, the want ads in the newspaper is how we used to get jobs before the internet. Sure enough, there's a job at the hospital where I was born. Funny how you always go back. It was a minimum wage job in the X-ray filing department. I didn't know what that was. I just wanted a car. I ride my bike down there as fast as I can through the different neighborhoods. Don't get jumped. A couple people yelled at me, no big deal. Filled out my application and rode back as fast as I could. Day later, I get a phone call at the house. come in for an interview. The supervisor is named Harriet. I'm thinking, Harriet, I'll be taking orders from a woman. Dad doesn't know about this one. Once again, I ride my bike through all of the different ethnic neighborhoods, and I didn't get beaten up, jumped, anything. I figured it was a good omen. I'm going to get this job. I enter the hospital past the huge blue cloud of cigarette smoke known as the waiting room. You remember people smoking in hospitals back then? The waiting room. Doctors and nurses would be puffing on cigarettes, walking down the hall while they were talking to you, examining you. People in the ER smoking. It didn't matter. I go down the elevator to the X-ray department to meet Harriet. Click, clack, go my platform shoes on the linoleum. At last I reach the window. Looking through the window, I see a giant nameplate with a long Polish name on it. And I said to the woman, "I'm here to see Harriet. Are you Harriet?" Said, "No, I'll get her for you." Very polite woman. I look in the back through the window and there's two more women. One of them is gorgeous. Drop dead beautiful. Could have been a model. Perfect features, skin, hair, body. Sitting there in her miniskirt, smoking a cigarette. Two doctors flirting with her, trying to pick her up. She's just sucking up the attention, crossing her legs back and forth in that miniskirt. They were hanging on every move. So was I. She also had a Polish nameplate, so at this point I'm thinking, Polish women are pretty cool. I look and see a second woman, and right from behind I can tell she is not Polish. I could tell by the size of her huge afro, a real 70s afro. She's wearing a tight white bell-bottom polyester pantsuit, big flare legs. She turns around and she's got the gold chains and the gold tooth. And I gotta be honest, she was a little on the bootylicious side. She was rocking that outfit, sort of a full-figured Cleopatra Jones. I'm thinking, black women are pretty cool. At last I meet Harriet, tall, well-mannered, tactful, Southern. Not only a woman, but a black woman. Sorry, Dad. Harriet immediately treats me with respect that I've never been treated with before. She speaks to me very clearly, looks me in the eye, explains the job duties to me very professionally, gives me proper introductions to the three women in the office and the three doctors who read the x-rays, whose name were, I kid you not, Friedman, Goldberg, and Weiss. Wow, I'm thinking. Polish, Polish, black, black, Jew, Jew, Jew. Dad never hears about any of this. At that moment, Harriet reached her arm out and pointed directly into heaven. It was really the x-ray department, but it sure looked a lot like heaven to me, because this was a teaching college, and the x-ray department was full of x-ray technicians in training, meaning it was full of about 12 really hot 18-year-old girls in those white stockings and those skimpy white mini dresses that were official uniforms back then. Wow. Okay, down the hall Harriet takes me, and there's a couple of candy stripers smiling and saying hi. We get to the kitchen, and back there behind the counter is a little blonde-haired girl about my age, and I swear she looks at me twice. At last, we go into the file room. Harriet professionally, in a very dignified manner, explains the rest of the job duties to me. Looks at me and says, You want the job? You might as well have thrown me the keys to the Playboy Mansion. I mean, hey, I'll take what's behind the door marked Hefner. Anyway, the job was cool because Harriet was cool. She listened to my ideas. Nobody ever did that. I was 15. I was a kid. She treated me like a man. Anyway, 6 months later, I've got my car. That's me riding down to the Polish neighborhood to pick up the girl from the cafeteria. She'd be sitting out on her stoop, waiting to beat someone up. She was rough, but she was cute, so I took her out. My first kiss. 1978 comes, and here we go, folks. Minimum wage is $2.35 an hour now, my first raise. I'm like getting raises, getting kisses. I feel like Burt Reynolds here. Finally, I get an invite from the man himself, Mike. Mike, the head custodian, who has keys to everything in the hospital, all 8 floors. Every closet, every room. And there are rumors about what goes on in some of these rooms when the doors are locked. Rumors involving nurses, doctors, everybody, who knows? But Mike wants to hang out. The slender, cool as a cucumber African-American man invites me to take a ride in his Cadillac. And this is a back-in-the-day Cadillac. No SUV nonsense. No, we're talking about 25 feet, 6.5 tons of United States steel, 500 cubic inch engine, and a 4-barrel. Get in the car, it's got air conditioning, FM radio, everything. It rides like a pillow. Cruising down the boulevard, bopping my head to the disco music. Mike looks at me. Hey Mark, you good at rolling? Is he talking about what I think he's talking about? No, I'm not. Tell you what, Mark. Why don't you drive while I roll? I've been driving 3 months. The guy gives me the keys to his Cadillac. Wow. Black people are cool. That thing rode like a giant floating motel room. Long time ago. Back to the dream. I'm looking at Harriet. I'm 15 years old, skinny, and just seeing her drained all the fear out of me. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I started working because I wanted to get a car. What was supposed to happen was I was supposed to learn how to get along with people who didn't look like me. But what happened? What really happened was that Harriet taught me the value of myself. Harriet taught me that it didn't matter if I was minimum wage with a menial job title. I was worth something. Every person on the planet is worth something. And that lesson has carried me through the darkest times of my life. Job review? What are you worth? Thanks, Harriet.